parts of Asia who are joining us virtually, and I welcome them all to this hybrid India-Sweden program at the India Pavilion. I'd like to especially mention and acknowledge the presence of Ms. Peggy Vidot, Minister of Health, Government of Seychelles, and His Excellency Ambassador of Seychelles to the UAE. It's a privilege, and thank you for making time to attend this program this morning. I'd like to now invite on screen, virtually joining us, Dr. Aman Puri, Consul General of India to Dubai, to deliver the opening remarks.
Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning to all of you. I'm delighted to join all of you here at the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center collaboration session at the India Pavilion Expo 2020 Dubai. Excellencies, esteemed panelists, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Health Minister of the Republic of Seychelles, Ms. Peggy Vidot, the Ambassador of Sweden to India, the Ambassador of Seychelles, and all the dignitaries who joined us on this very important session. As the world has been going through this unprecedented healthcare crisis, we have realized the importance of collaboration and partnerships between various healthcare systems. Here from Dubai, we had organized the UAE-India Healthcare Summit, which was a step to drive partnerships and collaborations both in the public sector and the private sector. We all realize the importance of innovation and technology in the healthcare field. In the words of Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, this decade would be the decade of India. And startups are the backbone of New India. Here at the Expo 2020 Dubai, India has an emphatic participation. We have one of the largest pavilions, one which will also be a legacy pavilion, which will continue to serve as a landmark of India here in the UAE, and will continue to showcase India's growth story. And of course, will be a vibrant platform where some of the brightest and the best minds from India will engage with their global counterparts. And of course, health tech will be one of the priority areas. Also, I must add that at the India Pavilion, we aspire to bring over 500 startups in various sectors during the course of the 6 months. And health tech is one of the very important sectors in that. Just recently, we had our healthcare startups, especially the medical devices vertical, pitch their ideas at this global platform. So I would like to congratulate Vicky and all other organizers for bringing such an esteemed galaxy of experts, speakers, excellencies to share the perspective from the public sector and the private sector on this very, very important subject. And I do wish and hope that the world can convert this crisis into an opportunity and create the robust collaborations and partnerships between healthcare systems, which are a prerequisite for providing healthcare security to all our brothers and sisters across the globe in the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where in India we consider the whole world as one family. This healthcare crisis has made us realize that health security is indivisible. Either we are all secure or no one is secure. So in that spirit, I would like to wish this forum all the very best. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Puri. Absolutely. I think the past 2 years has shown us that we cannot function in isolation, but have to co-create. And to discuss and look at how technology and digital technologies can play a role in this new age. I'd like to invite Cecilia Oskarsson, Swedish Trade Commissioner to India, to lead us through a conversation with a few specialists on this topic. Cecilia, welcome.
Thank you, Amrit, and good morning, everyone. Nice to see you here, and good to have those of you who are online with us as well. Before we start the discussion, I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Alka Sharma, Senior Advisor from the Department of Biotechnology, and she will be with us virtually. Dr. Sharma, are you with us?
Thank you so much. Very good morning to all of you, and good afternoon to our Indian participants through virtual mode. It is my pleasure to be a part of this event on the very interesting theme that is role of technology and innovation in new age healthcare delivery. Government of India is facilitating and supporting entire ecosystem in the country to promote and support startups and innovators. The Department of Biotechnology, along with its public sector undertaking, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, are playing the role of catalyst to enable and empower the biotech ecosystem across the country. Overall aim is to stimulate, foster, and enhance the strategic research and innovation capabilities of the Indian biotech industry, particularly startups and SMEs, for creation of affordable products addressing the needs of the largest section of the country. The Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, that we call BIREC, through its various schemes and programs, is promoting the technology-driven innovation at various aspects of healthcare system. So far, more than 150 innovative technologies and products have been developed. Schemes such as Make in India and Startup India have been launched by the Government of India to encourage Indian innovators to manufacture products in India, for India, and also for the world. Similarly, BioNest is another scheme which is creating globally competent bio-incubation facilities across the country, while the incubators are able to support the space, services, and knowledge requirements of startups. A wide gap exists in financial support required by a technology-driven startups in initial phase. Equity schemes of BIREC offer support for the early stage startups, which has potential for differential growth. It also helps the entities to attract investment opportunities from prospects investors. During the pandemic, the Department of Biotechnology and BIREC have initiated the COVID-19 Research Consortium to facilitate the holistic development of vaccine, diagnostics, therapeutics, and later on also participated in genomic surveillance initiative. Some of the achievements include development of RT-PCR, rapid antigen antibody assays for COVID-19 detection, nucleic acid extraction kits, vaccine transport media, probes, primers through DBT and BIREC support in the fast track mode. We also established COVID MedTech Manufacturing and Development Strategy Consortium that we call DBT AMTZ Command Consortium at Visakhapatnam, which has enabled the rapid scale-up of manufacturing of COVID-19 diagnostic kits, effectively lowering import dependency. Due to the production capacity from multiple companies located at the same place, they have been able to establish production of 11,000 ventilators, 12 crore RT-PCR tests, and 1 crore the VTMs. So very recently, this year on 26 January, few days back, a nationwide Grand Innovation Challenge program, that is Amrit Grand Challenge, we call Jan Care, has also been announced with all the stakeholders in the country with the overall aim to identify 75 digital health tech innovations in telemedicine, digital health, mHealth and big data, and other technologies for strengthening the healthcare ecosystem in India. This program is a step towards developing the futuristic technologies to strengthen healthcare delivery in India in alignment with National Digital Health Mission. The technologies developed through these programs and schemes will have significant potential to bring technological changes in healthcare delivery. The COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize that we all know that we need to step up in our healthcare infrastructure to meet the increasing demand. So remote monitoring solution, tele-ICU, personalized wearable devices, patient vital monitoring system, connected ICUs are required to enhance the healthcare delivery in our country. So the image-based diagnosis, clinical decision support system, smart and connected hospitals, self-learning and training solutions are some of the futuristic technologies with high potential. So in order to overcome challenges in the existing healthcare system, it is important to address the gap between import and export by expanding indigenous capacity and capability in our country. Appropriate policies related to new age technology need to be developed. The end users, including the patients and clinicians, should also be part of the team right from the beginning. The entrepreneurial culture should further be promoted to enhance technological research in various fields of healthcare. These all are possible through interdisciplinary approach where academia, industry, startups, innovators, and end users work together to bring significant impact in the healthcare delivery system in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, for those words. And just like we heard Dr. Sharma was saying, COVID-19 has really disrupted the way that healthcare delivery has been done all over the globe, also in India, but in Sweden too. And many countries has adopted multiple strategies during the pandemic to overcome this resource shortage that we have seen. In India, we also saw, just like we just heard, that there were significant leaps in many areas, especially in strengthening the healthcare delivery system, but also there were a lot of investments and growth for local supply in local supply chains. Innovation and technology has played a very crucial role in helping managing the pandemic, but also to upgrade the healthcare system in general. This trend will continue, and we would like to call it the new age healthcare delivery. Many countries have similar experiences when it comes to looking at finding new approaches, but also finding new ways when delivering healthcare. So I do think that we all can agree that this is the new age healthcare delivery. And today we will have a panel discussion with the theme innovation and technology. And we have public and private guest speakers who are here to present some interesting views for you. So may I present to you online, we have Dr. Anil Kukreya, VP Medical Affairs from Astrazeneca. We also have Dr. Kuldeep Singh, who is the Dean Academic at AIIMS Jaipur. But with us here today, we have Vineet, Mr. Vineet, the Group CIO from Aster. Very nice to have you here. We also have Ms. Ebba Foreus, CEO of Smile Incubator. We have Mr. Prasant Warrior from AI Cure. And we have Dr. Gupta, President at AIIMS Bhopal and AIIMS Jammu. So I will start. Do we have Dr. Singh with us virtually?
Yeah.
Good. So AIIMS Hospital was in the forefront in managing the pandemic and ensuring a robust healthcare delivery in India. Can you share how such disruptive times have made healthcare come closer to new technology and to the need of having innovative thinking?
Yeah, definitely. Pandemic has created a lot of opportunities for the innovations in the technology. And basically, the healthcare is from time memorial reaching to the people. But the technology has enabled the reach to the distance in the remotest area of the country. Uh, what we fail to understand is that we have separated the healthcare or the medicine part from the technology, and we have focused more on the technology development, which has further created the digital divide. At AIMS Jodhpur, we have taken care of this need of the peripheral societies, the remotest area, so that we can reach to the people who are in the remotest area who don't have the internet connectivity. So we have experimented with a lot of different technology to reach to the people, those who are having digital access, those who don't have the digital access as well. And in this regard, we created the telemedicine from the AIMS Jodhpur, where the consultants were providing the forward triaging during the pandemic so that the patients can take the care at home itself. So there is no need for coming to the hospital and getting the infections. And they were further advised about the common problems which they are encountering in their day-to-day life. And there are many questions which have arisen in the minds of the patients. Even those who are healthier, they want to have the consultation from the doctor. So the AIMS Jodhpur team has created a ecosystem of providing the telemedicines through our hospital information system. Secondly, we also reached to the remotest area in the tribal population in Sirohi, located in Rajasthan in the south, which is a really inaccessible area. So there we have created, with the help of health manpower, access to these people who can come to the center where they can provide the consultation with the expertise from the AIMS hospital. Apart from that, we have used the multimedias. We have created awareness videos which can increase the awareness of the people regarding the COVID and also how to use the technology. In the meantime, we also take help of our students, medical students, to provide the home isolation services so that if there is any query, they can provide and able to guide the patients when to visit the hospital, when to visit the nearest healthcare center. So basically, the need of the hour is that we have to create the technology which is accessible. It is not only the very high or high rated, but it should also be accessible. So there is an innovation is required in making the technology more accessible rather than making a robust technology. So accessible technology development is one of the part where AIMS Jodhpur is promoting the innovations in this area. So I think the future is of healthcare with the technology is here, and innovations are now the in thing that we can provide more access to the patients with different kind of disease, not only for the pandemic, but post-pandemic also. This is my views.
Thank you very much. And the pandemic has really shown that co-creation and work across the borders are the solution for finding the right innovative solutions in healthcare delivery. And Dr. Kukreya, do we have you online as well?
Yes, Cecilia.
Thank you very much. And as a global healthcare player, what are the key transformations you see in healthcare that are required for new innovations, innovative approaches to solve our problems?
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia. And I let me start by thanking FICCI and Business Sweden for this opportunity to be part of this August panel at a global platform. And Cecilia, to you for an apt question for me. And being a global healthcare player, just to give the perspectives from Astrazeneca, we have a Catalyst network. It is a global network of more than 20 Astrazeneca health innovation hubs across the world. And it is designed to deliver the innovation for patients and that go beyond the pill. And through this network, we collaborate, co-create, as you rightly said, and we come together across the globe to address the patient needs and put patient at a center of the care. We are truly trying to make a difference in the people's life by addressing the healthcare challenges they are facing, leveraging the technology to enhance the access to the healthcare, and also providing opportunity to scale up and showcase these patient-centered innovation. So just to sum up a response, of course, there are so many examples. I just want to take one example where artificial intelligence to interpret the ECG and provide a diagnosis within few minutes so that a primary health center can take an appropriate decision and save the life of patients who are suffering from myocardial infarction, commonly called as heart attack. There's one such example where a startup and Astrazeneca collaborated, came together, created a heartbeat ecosystem that has not only saved lives, almost close to 17,000 lives in India through hub and spoke model, but also we are showcasing this startup and this collaboration to across our global region and international region, and so that the other countries can also learn and adapt this technological breakthrough. So to sum up, actually, story in India is a story of innovation across the world. And we see a lot of technological advances. We see the technological transfers. We see the technology is being embraced. And more importantly, these collaborations are accelerating the pace of change and bringing new opportunities, as well as enhancing the outcome of patients through these technologies.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Kukreya. So private players has always been very, very proactive in adopting new innovative technologies. So Mr. Vinod, what are the key initiatives that are being taken care of by Aster to drive innovation?
Thank you, Cecilia. Sorry, it's a tough name that I have. My first and the last name both equally difficult. So yeah, you're right. So it's been great hearing to both the other speakers who spoke. Technology, whether irrespective of the private, public, in the last couple of years have played a very big role. I mean, I don't have to say more about it. Everybody is aware of it. But what is I would like to bring up a point that what technology has brought to the table this time. The couple of technology solutions and which became very popular. None of them were the things that happened overnight. This technology existed for about decades ago, whether it is telemedicine, whether it is remote care. It was the right use case that came in. This was the time when, whether it is clinicians and the patients saw a good use case of it. I keep saying it's always the use case that matters and not just the solution. I think that the speaker from IIM also mentioned that. So therefore, in the private space, I believe that we get a little more, we are a little more nimble and becomes a little more flexible because we could take decisions quickly. The structure is all within the same building or the same organization, and we just move on fast. I guess that's the only difference, perhaps. But otherwise, I'm aware of private as well as public players, both playing a big role. The place that we are sitting right now, the government and the public entities played such a crucial role, working so closely with us at Aster and various other private players to deliver care to the patients and to the people that pandemic and that crisis. But I would like to still call out most of the solutions that came on board, most of the solutions that was put to good use were systems and solutions and things that existed over a decade ago. It's just that it was put to good use. People saw a real value in adopting to telemedicine or a teleconsult, because teleconsult was there. I know most of us know it was there, and it was so difficult for CIOs like me to just roll out a teleconsult, because everybody who had so many other apprehensions, so many other challenges that bring to table, which we couldn't as a technology player address. When a right use case came along, all of them embraced it like fish to water, and it just became very popular. So similarly, remote medicine, we could use remote medicine and remote ICUs, I believe, was one of the very important thing that we put to good use again, was because we wanted to keep our clinicians safe. I mean, obviously they are in out meeting patients who were COVID positive, and when patients were in the ICU, we put remote tools like remote ICU and solutions to have our doctors not very close to the patient, remotely managing and taking care of the patient as well as taking care of themselves. So that was that, plus a lot of solutions that came into existence post discharge, because COVID has a lot of treatment, a lot of care that is required post discharge as well. Even there, we could use a lot of IoT solutions and ensure the care is provided to the patients. And yeah, I guess we are at a stage where perhaps healthcare is going through what banking went through a few decades ago. And there'll be a lot more hyper-local and retailization of healthcare that's going to happen as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as we have heard, all the panelists have mentioned that the changing role that innovation has in healthcare, and also the need and importance of it. Smile Incubator is based in Lund and is known to have given quite a few turning innovation in healthcare, like medical ultrasound, laser cancer treatment, but also steroids to use for asthma medicine. So Ms. Ebba Forius, could you please share a bit on what are the key ingredients and enablers based on your experience in Sweden that is needed to really create this new age innovation, but also scale up?
I will, and I think we have already heard them actually from the previous speakers, but I will repeat. It's the same in Sweden, of course. World-leading research, helping academics and researchers to leap to the very difficult step to become entrepreneurs. So I actually would mention 4 things: the research, the innovation system, innovation processes that supports the academics to entrepreneurship, coupled with having very seasoned business advisors with real life science industry experience to coach these early entrepreneurs. At Smile, we run programs from very early to late stage companies. We also build what I think is very important is the industry contacts, is the networks. A single entrepreneur starting his business, it's impossible for him to develop all the networks and have all the contacts that he will need to become successful. That's what the system, the innovation system actors like Smile can help with. Of course, entrepreneurship in life science is high risk, high reward, very, very costly, and a lot of money is needed quite early on. So I would mention soft money as a very, very important part of this. In Sweden, we have systems for soft money, public governmental system that supports the companies in their first stumbling steps. We also have quite a lot of business angels that can support them. And after that, of course, the VCs for scale up. Again, that is something innovation system actors, incubators and such can help the entrepreneurs with. And that's a very important role, being the networkers for the entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are obviously very busy developing their core, their innovation, their product. The 4th thing I would mention that's key to our success is actually diversity and inclusion. Very, very important for innovation. From my experience over the last 7 years, we have actually 37 nationalities working in my incubator. 50% of the founders are females, and they are raising the same amount of capital as the men. So to create the future of health tech, we need to be inclusive of everyone. We need to make sure that everybody's voice is heard and everybody's innovation gets a chance.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And a company that has been in the startup scene for just a little bit of time is Cure AI. And they have played, even though they've only been there for a short time, a very pivotal role in the pandemic landscape in India. So, Mr. Warrior, could you please share give us first a brief overview of your solution, but then also see how the changing adoption of innovation, like innovative solutions, has changed in the recent year?
Absolutely. Thank you, Cecilia. Thanks for having me here. Is it working? Yeah, it's working now. Thanks for having me here. And I'll briefly talk about Cure and what we do and talk about some of the changes we have seen in the pandemic. So at Cure, we are, like you mentioned, a young startup. We started about 5.5 years ago, focusing on AI in the radiology space. So we interpret X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds using AI. We're able to create an automatic report, identify where the abnormality is, quantify it, measure progression, all of that, right? So we have done that with chest X-rays, with head CTs for trauma, stroke, and so on. And these are technologies which have been built on about 4 million, 5 million plus scans, each of them, right? So overall, we have about 10 million plus scans which have gone into training the technology. And we have obviously gotten these are all regulated products. These are all medical devices. So we have to get an FDA clearance or a CE certification or clearances in other geographies, which we have gotten. So again, it's something which, like Vineet said, right? This is already technology which is already available, right? But in the pandemic, we saw a lot of scale, a lot of adoption, which might be due to two reasons. One is that we are in that stage of a startup where you have that hockey stick growth. So that is also there, that we were at that stage where we got the clearances ready to get adopted. But also we saw that a lot of places, I mean, we saw that there was a real opportunity that was available. Like, for example, I mean, we do TB screening around the world, where these are mobile vans which have X-ray units within them, which travel around the country screening people. They don't have a radiologist on the van. It takes them about 2-3 weeks, sometimes even 4 or 5 weeks to get that X-ray read. And we're able to provide that interpretation within a minute in the van, right? Second use case, for example, is what we do partnership with Astrazeneca, where there are so many people, there are about 1.3 billion X-rays taken every year. And most of them are not read properly, read by general practitioners, even read by radiologists, not with enough time spent on it, right? And lots of times nodules are missed, incidental pulmonary nodules are missed, which could be leading to cancer. So one of the partnerships we signed up during the pandemic is with AstraZeneca in helping diagnose lung cancer on those patients. So basically X-rays which have been taken for other conditions, maybe for TB, maybe for COVID, other things, we are able to identify a nodule in that, incidental nodule in that, and we are then able to identify a malignancy risk, which can then be investigated further. And this is very useful because lung cancer is one of those conditions where the 80% of the cases are identified late, where the mortality is about 95% plus. So you're basically, I mean, the survival rate is very low. And if you can bring that stage down by diagnosing early, that can be hugely beneficial to the patient. So that is again something that we started doing during the pandemic. And another was around COVID. I mean, so this is something which was initial days of COVID in India and many parts of the world. Enough testing was not available. So RT-PCR testing was not available everywhere. And now, of course, it's very, it's available all the places, right? But and that was the case initially. And we saw that X-rays could be used as a screening mechanism for COVID. You could say that this patient has got COVID or not. It could be something where, I mean, if it's not on the X-ray, maybe COVID is there. Obviously, you could still have COVID, but you could be tested later. So it can be used as a triaging mechanism for who needs to be tested for COVID. So built out solutions like that for COVID, built out a patient management solution where you could basically, I mean, because people were quarantined at home and you don't know how patients are responding to COVID, I mean, whether being tested or not, whether they are responding to treatment or not. So again, basically managing patients, having an automatic chatbot, which is chatting with patients at home. So build that solution over the last couple of years. So I think what has happened for us, at least at Cure, is that when we started prior to the pandemic, we were deployed at maybe about 40-50 sites. In the last 2 years, now we are at about 600, close to 600 sites in about 50 countries. And imagine, this is a digital technology. These are in 50 plus countries. Each country, it is deployed without us going there. So we are deployed across the world. From India to Pakistan to Latin American countries to US, UK, some of the developed economies. In fact, for example, UK has also seen a huge adoption of telehealth technologies, because again, due to the pandemic, NHS is investing very heavily into the UK market, into the NHS trusts as well. So we are seeing a lot of adoption there. So I think it's like Vineet said, right? It's sort of having the right technologies, but also the use case coming together and the market coming together. There's a need that needs to be solved, and digital health technologies, AI technologies like ours are providing that solution to that need. So
thank you. It's an amazing story. Innovation and technology put into place, definitely. Dr. Gupta, you have a very long experience of working in tertiary care, both at AIIMS Delhi, but also at AIIMS Jammu and the AIIMS Bhopal. So what do you think the public healthcare delivery setups like AIIMS can play what role can they play to support innovators, and what challenges do you see?
Wonderful question. I would say not only the healthcare aims like institutions, but I will also put into the canvas the big pharmacy institutions. My point is, the first step is identifying the gap between the need and the innovator. If that is done in collaboration with the hospitals, particularly the hospitals like AIIMS and maybe bigger pharmacy institutions, that will be the first step. And that's why just 2 days back, I had a meeting with the Minister of Science and Technology. He has instructed, and we have signed an MOU from Jammu AIIMS and Bhopal AIIMS with IIT, with the CSIR institutions and AIIMS. Because then the innovator will know the actual need and work on that. The second thing is, based on this, then there should be the idea generation. And this idea generation will be the need-based. And the third most important thing is, once you develop an innovation like what Prashant said and what others said, the validation of that. And validation has to be done on specific parameters with a specific sensitivity and validity, and then upscale that. And therefore, the fourth is, I would say, when you do validation, innovation is not a constant. Innovation is a kinetic, dynamic. And therefore, the continuous innovation will come with the feedback of that. If that is not done, the innovation will not survive long. And that is why, fifth, I would say, Alka was here, a good friend of mine, submit a joint project with the Government of India, BIRAC, National Innovation Foundation, and DBT. And then I would say link with peripheral centers. Like AIIMS Delhi, AIIMS Jammu, and AIIMS Bhopal, we have linked with all the medical colleges in the state for the innovations. I will just give you 3-4 examples, quick examples, where the public, like small innovation. One is the know your prescription. The prescription in India, the patient do not know what is prescribed to him many times because of the prescription is written in so fast manner, and the doctor does not have a time. And therefore, the digital innovation will find the correctness of the prescription, drug interaction, and also avoid the medication error. This will be an help to the physician. This will be help to the policymakers. And this has also detected the massive use of antibiotics wrongly in the COVID situation. So that is the peripheral use. The another example, I met a very nice gentleman here for innovation of finding out the rare disease diagnosis early. That is something very, very dynamic and very critical. And if that is done at these hospitals, and that will be a tremendous thing. If I say go to the higher technology, your retina fundoscopy or your retinoscopy can predict what is going to happen in your cardiac system in future. So this type of innovations, point of care innovations for tuberculosis, for viral diseases, this can be validated in these hospitals, and this can be then practiced over the places. Now, I would say the antimicrobial resistance is a massive problem now. The molecular diagnosis can help in periphery to the secondary hospital to tertiary care hospitals. And this is how the very important thing. Now you said the challenges. I would just say there is no challenge which cannot be overcome. The first challenge is mindset. Mindset of the doctors, mindset of the innovator, and the mindset is that they should come and join hand. They should have much more frequent meeting on the table on the VC, then working on the isolation. And then once you develop innovation, then go to the actual user is not the right policy. While doing innovation, that is one thing. And then the enthusiasm in the physician to use this innovation. Unless they have enthusiasm, this will be, and then the funding opportunity. Lastly, I will say the fear of failure in innovation and the spring which can prevent their shock. An innovator is enthusiastic. When the innovator develops something and doesn't go into the market, is a very, very saddening thing. And that's why innovator must have a padding mechanism. Innovator must have a spring mechanism. Innovator must have a support from the government for funders which are sitting here. If he is going wrong, lastly, I will say, making innovation in the lab is one, but bringing this innovation to the public and to the institution, upscaling, I think there where the funders come. The funders are usually very, very smart. They look for quick return. The funder should look return which will come after 5 years, return which come after 10 years, and not return RIO in terms of a money, return in terms of a benefit to the society and healthcare system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, Dr. Gupta. Ms. Forius, do you see any of those challenges in Sweden too?
Yes, Sweden is actually second in the world in innovation. Unfortunately, we are not second in the world in deployment of the innovations. So I think we've mentioned here the doctors and the challenges. I think the healthcare system, there's a lot of innovation in our countries, but the challenge is getting deployment in the healthcare system. And we've heard that in attitudes, it's also in leadership, it's in how you give the healthcare system a possibility to embrace. And of course, I think that's maybe a potential future for collaboration. Very important, because the innovations are there. We have heard fantastic innovations. I'm very impressed by you. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's been a very interesting conversation. And we can see that the highlights is to work in partnership mode and collaboration with different stakeholders. And Sweden has been following a quadruple helix model where government, policymakers, industry, and academia work together to build a partnership. And this is what we have been followed with the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center platform. And this platform we are always trying to innovate new modes of working and new models of finding innovation. And we are very excited to continue to support and partner with the right organizations and companies and startups. And this all we do to improve healthcare delivery as of all. So thank you all for participating in the panel, and thank you for listening.
As you're aware, we have with us Honorable Minister for Health, Republic of Seychelles. Ma'am, we would like to, request you to kindly join us on this stage for a minute. So we do this annual conference program in Delhi called FICCI Heal, and I'd like to invite you and extend your invitation. Thank you so much. It's a really honor to have you participate. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will now move to the second part of today's India-Sweden session. As Cecilia rightly left off, India and Sweden are trying to collaborate with what we call the quadruple helix way of working with stakeholders towards innovation. And today, We will now move in to the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center Award and Announcement Ceremony. We have various dignitaries joining us from Sweden and who are physically here, as well as senior bureaucrats and colleagues from India. To start off this ceremony, I would like to invite Ambassador of Sweden to India, His Excellency Claes Molin, to deliver the welcome address for this particular session.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Amrit. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, Claes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Very good. I'm coming to you from Stockholm, Sweden. And I'd like to, of course, begin by recognizing the Honorable Secretary, Mr. Bhushan, Dr. Paul from Niti Aayog, the DG from ICMR, Professor Bhargava, and Joint Secretary Agarwal, Dr. our old friends and collaborators, Dr. Guleria, Dr. Mishra, of course, the whole team from FICCI, as well as Team Sweden in a broad sense, both official participants, as well as, of course, our important partners in the private sector, notably AstraZeneca. Good morning, Mr. Singh. How are you? Very good to see you all. You've heard me say it many times before. The innovation and healthcare are very much cornerstones of a vibrant and growing India-Sweden partnership. And today's ceremony and today's discussion, I think, are part and parcel, and yet another example of how we continue this partnership and how we take it to new heights and to new areas. I think the Innovation Center, of course, is something that sprung out of a successful state visit just over 2 years ago when Their Majesties, the King and Queen of Sweden, visited India, a year in which we also celebrated the 10th anniversary of an MOU, which has really been pathbreaking and is one of our very strongest partnerships anywhere, if not the strongest partnership in health and healthcare anywhere in the world. So I think it's very fitting that today's discussion take its point of departure from this and how we also look at how we can move forward in innovation and the Innovation Challenge winners, which I'm sure among them will have many, many good and fruitful ideas that can be taken forward. The center is a new way of collaborating. I think it's also something that we will build on. We identify problems together and then we look at solutions. And the last 2 years, of course, needless to say, have been very challenging in many ways. But despite, and perhaps in some ways, because of the pandemic that we've endured, we've also increased our efforts and our willingness to cooperate and to find new solutions, including, of course, in healthcare. So I'll wind up by wishing you a very fruitful discussion. I'm happy to see that many of you have made it to Dubai and can participate at the India Pavilion in person. Many of us will be joining you from afar. We're quite used to it, and it's working very, very well. But I wish you the best of luck and also look forward to taking part of some pointers as well as some very interesting ideas from our winners. So thank you very much. Back to you, Amrit.
Thank you, Claes, for joining us from probably a cold Stockholm morning. I now, as Claes mentioned, we've had a very vibrant MOU between India and Sweden in the area of health, and it is under this umbrella that this collaboration is also so deeply rooted and shows commitment from both sides. I'd like to, in connection to this MOU, invite Mr. Love Agarwal, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, and co-chair of the joint working group of this very successful MOU, to say a few words. Mr. Love Agarwal.
Thank you, Amrit. His Excellency, Ambassador of Sweden to India, Mr. Molin, Secretary Health, Member Niti Aayog, Dr. Paul, DG ICMR, Director AIMS Delhi, as well as our colleagues who are present here. A very warm welcome to all of you. As has been just mentioned by Amrit, India and Sweden, we actually have a very strong partnership in the area of health, and this has grown in strength from years to years. As co-chair of the joint working group of this MOU on health between these two countries, we have been following the progress on various cooperative issues, and I can confidently say that this is one of our most active MOU which we have with bilaterally with any of the countries. Today's program primarily focusing on key elements of our health cooperation in the form of Indo-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center, which was launched by the Indian Minister for Health during the royal visit of Sweden to India. I have also had the possibility to follow on closely the progress of the Innovation Center, and I am happy to highlight that the Innovation Center had followed a systems approach to solve healthcare challenges, and it is very important to have this type of holistic thinking. And I urge to continue to work in this matrix of policy, academia, and technology providers. The work done by the Innovation Center with the startup has already started showing wonderful results, and we are all pleased to know how some of the startups from the first batch of winners have managed to move ahead in their growth. And we look forward to working more closely with the new best ideas which are emerging through the Innovation Center and discuss how the public health system should benefit mutually and enable them to scale up. I congratulate this ongoing partnership and also for the fact for hosting today's program at this global platform in Dubai at the India Pavilion. It is indeed encouraging that we can showcase together with Sweden our international partnership work done by India and Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, both for joining and also your continued guidance on how we can grow this collaboration. And I'd now like to invite on stage. So while we have Mr. Agarwal joining us from India, we have the benefit of having Nicholas Jacobson, Mr. Love Agarwal's counterpart in the joint working group and Deputy Director from the Ministry of Health and Social Affairs. Nicholas.
Thank you, Amrit. Ministers, ambassadors, Dr. Agarwal, ladies and gentlemen. As we have heard before, the basis for the Swedish-India collaboration in the healthcare sector is a memorandum of understanding that dates back to 2009. Since then, we have had yearly joint working groups between our countries, and I'm proud to have been part of those as a co-chair now for more than 10 years. However, I would like to emphasize the commitment that all the partners in our collaboration show daily. I think my colleagues on the Indian side would agree with me when I say that this collaboration has truly grown into a deep friendship, one that we keep exploring and expanding on each year. Not even the pandemic has been able to stop our relationship from growing. Many discussions and events have taken place, and even new products have been launched. The India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center is one of the many great examples of collaborations that we have between Sweden and India. The path to make this happen started already in 2018, when the leaders of our respective ministries of health decided to take the collaboration to the next level by broadening the collaboration outside the usual suspects such as Delhi and Mumbai. AIIMS Jaipur was chosen as a suitable spot. In January 2019, the Swedish Minister of Health visited Jaipur, and subsequently, the Healthcare Innovation Center was inaugurated in connection to the state visit by the King and Queen of Sweden to India in December 2019. About a year ago, the Swedish and Indian Prime Ministers endorsed the establishment of the Sweden-India Health Hub at AIIMS Jaipur. The hub focuses on addressing global health challenges such as aging populations, non-communicable diseases, and precision medicine. Not to mention the AMR, as we were talking about earlier. Healthcare is going through a paradigm shift and moving towards a more personalized care. and precision medicine and the role of technology is more evident than ever before. I'm proud to be part of this second edition of the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Challenge, showcasing innovative healthcare solutions from both countries. I would like to, a little bit in beforehand, congratulate all the winners. And also I want to thank Business Sweden, AIMS Jaipur, and Astrazeneca for your dedicated work and for organizing this event today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niklas. I'd now like to invite Ms. Cecilia Oskarsson, Swedish Trade Commissioner to India, to talk about the journey of the Innovation Center and what's coming up.
Thank you, Amrit. And we have already heard how much this MOU that India and Sweden has since a couple of years back. And to further strengthen this collaboration, together with AIMS Delhi and AIMS Jaipur, Business Sweden has started this Sweden-India Healthcare Innovation Collaboration Center. And Dolly, would it be possible for you to fix the presentation? Okay, let me start speaking anyway. So this innovation center is, as we talked about earlier during the panel discussion, it's built on the Swedish quadruple helix model, where we have a representation from government, we have academia, we have industry, and also policymakers. The innovation center is will it be possible, Dolly? Yeah. Okay, so can we have the next slide, please? So as you can see here, the Innovation Center is governed by a governing council where all the 4 quadruple helix are represented. And the governing council is giving us, or the center, the strategic direction, where we have also a project team who's working and executing things on daily basis. And if we move on to the next slide, we can see that the center is built on 3 pillars, where the first one is actually fostering local innovation through startups. The second one is where we work with protocol and process development through the Live Center of Excellence. And it's creating a holistic way of dealing with patients. The third pillar is capability building and upskilling of nurses and physicians. And during the last 2 years, we have seen great progress in all of those 3 pillars. Just to mention the first one, we have now trained and mentored 14 startups so far, out of which 4 are actually global today. And we've already heard from Cure AI, which was one of those. The next step here is to, of course, continue help the existing startups, but also the new one that we will hear soon about. The second pillar, the Live Center of Excellence. Here, the objective is to create new ways of working in the healthcare sector. And the first concept was launched during December 2020. And this Center of Excellence is designed to provide comprehensive care for cancer patients. And during the last year, we have set up the necessary infrastructure, but also initiated a pilot at AIMS Jaipur. And today we are very happy to officially, fully inaugurate this Center of Excellence here through this platform. And the next step here is to create a similar Center of Excellence for electroporation. And the last pillar, we see that the objective is to increase the level of skill for the nurses, but also for physicians. And this, the first training has been initiated, and it's been done in diabetes management. And it was initiated in October last year, 2021, in Jaipur at a physical training. And the next step here is to upscale it into an E-level module, so we can actually roll it out pan-India. So this is the center. Now you have an overview of what's going on. You also know what the next steps are. And we are very proud of this and very much looking forward to strengthening all the 3 pillars and to work closer with all our partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. So Business Sweden is one partner in this collaboration. I now would like to invite our other partners to also say a few words. I would like to start by inviting Dr. Randeep Guleria, Director, AIIMS Delhi, to address the audience.
Thank you very much, Amit. Amrit, the Ambassador of Sweden to India, His Excellency Claes Molin, sir, our Health Secretary, Shri Rajesh Bhushanji, Professor Paul, Member Niti Aayog, Professor Balram Bhargav, Secretary, DHR and DG ICMR, Shri Love Agarwal, Mr. Nicholas Jacobson, and Ms. Cecilia Osirkson, and my colleagues, Dr. Sanjeev Mishra from AIIMS Jodhpur, other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to just say that we are very happy to collaborate and be a core partner of this India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center, which has been doing a remarkable job in the last 2 years. Innovation in healthcare sector is critical, and I think this is something which really came out during the COVID-19 pandemic, because there was a need to innovate and develop new things which were not available in our country, whether it be PPEs, N95s, or ventilators. And I think, therefore, there is a need to develop good innovation mechanisms in our country. But the issue, of course, is to identify key issues which are required for our country, develop and innovate, and find solutions which are truly made in India. And I think the most important is to see how we can have a sustainability, and therefore there has to be multi-sectorial involvement, because many innovations go through the so-called valley of deaths and don't really reach the market. Therefore, it's important that this center, which is already working in this direction, has collaborations with industry, with academia, and is able to therefore move forward in that direction. Very happy to note that the innovation solution that were identified in the first cohort of startups has made significant progress in the last 1 year, really heartening. And I think the lessons that we learned from the last 1 year can now be sort of translated to the next cohort of startups, which will get going this year. I would like to really take this opportunity to congratulate the winners who would be announced today. I'm also very happy to really note that the Innovation Center is also looking at upskilling the healthcare professionals in India. Now, a large part of the professionals in India come in what is known as the informal workforce. And this has led to huge gaps in delivery of healthcare in our country. And if we can upskill healthcare professionals, we could be able to really provide some degree of skilled care, both at a primary and secondary level. And this would be of great use. Just to give you an example, we were looking at how to diagnose chronic respiratory diseases, and we needed a spirometry, which is a lung function test, to be done. And people are not trained to do spirometry, but we could use that, and we actually explored the possibility of the ECG technician posted at the CHC being trained to do spirometry also along with ECG, and thereby being able to provide support at a primary and secondary level for the early diagnosis of chronic respiratory diseases. So I think this is another great step in terms of upskilling the healthcare professionals. I'd also like to congratulate the collaboration on the creation of the Oncology Center of Excellence at AIIMS Jodhpur. We would be very happy to help them in whatever manner we can. They're already aware that we have the National Cancer Institute at Jhajjar, which is a 700 bed facility with focus on India-specific cancers and research in these areas. So congratulations, and I look forward to further collaboration with the various partners so that we can move forward. And I think this is a great initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Valeria. From AIIMS Jodhpur, I now invite our second health delivery partner in this collaboration, AIIMS Jodhpur, Dr. Sanjeev Mishra. I request you to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. His Excellency Ambassador of Sweden to India, Shri Bhushanji, Secretary Minister of Health, Professor Vinod Paul, Member Niti Ayog, Dr. Balram Bhargav, DGI SEMA, Shri Lava Agarwal, the Ministry of Health, Mr. Nicholas Jacobson, all the other distinguished dignitaries attending the program. At AIIMS Jodhpur, we are very happy and proud to have the Indo-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center, as well as the Center of Excellence in Oncology. And as we have heard from Ms. Cecilia about the work that the center has been doing, and we are very happy to say that in spite of this COVID and other things, we were able to very successfully mentor 14 winners of the Grand Challenge, which was held previously, the Indo-Sweden Grand Challenge. And a lot of these innovations that we mentored were very simple things, from looking from vaccine transportation to areas which, like to a desert, to remote areas where you can go it and you can charge the cooling device without having any external thing, just manually. Just one example of the innovation which we were able to mentor. And we are really looking forward to the next set of winners which are going to be announced today. And I'm sure that those innovations also we will be happy to mentor at the Innovation Center. And at the Center of Excellence, this is one of its kind of thing where we're trying to provide a complete holistic care with our medical radiation and surgical oncology care to the cancer patients, where from nutrition point of view for cancer patients, from their psychological point of view, the mental issues, from rehabilitation point of view, and overall holistic approach where at a single place, all this is available for the patient, and we are very excited that we are having a formal launch of it. And since we just started till date, approximately 1,000 cancer patients, we have been able to provide this single point of care service for, besides cancer, different aspects of their health, which is linked with cancer care. And again, we feel very privileged and proud to be part of this joint program, which is of the India-Sweden innovation. The different aspects of innovation are being looked into and covered, and really excited about the inauguration of the Innovation Center as well as the Center of Excellence, this program. And I thank all of you for having us to be part of this. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. I now invite our knowledge partner, AstraZeneca, Mr. Gagandeep Singh, Managing Director of AstraZeneca, to say a few words.
Thank you, Amrit. Always exciting to be part of this platform. First of all, a very good afternoon to all the honorable secretaries as well as government dignitaries, both from India as well as Sweden, as well as to our partners at AIIMS as well as Business Sweden. On behalf of AstraZeneca, I'm always honored to be part of the Innovation Challenge winners announcement and launch of the first live Center of Excellence, or what we also call it as a comprehensive cancer care patient support service and incubation center. What we're attempting here is through an A-Catalyst network, co-creating challenge-based solutions for patients, working both local as well as international partners and integrating innovative technologies into patient pathways. Local innovation, as we all agree, combined with global experience is very important if we are to develop effective and scalable innovations in healthcare. These compelling shortlisted innovators, which, we'll see them later, when they combine their experience along with some distinguished mentors like from AIIMS Jodhpur, as well as, with innovators like AstraZeneca as a knowledge partner, can bring about targeted solution to some of the very, very significant challenges which are today faced by our healthcare ecosystem. Before I close, I'll also like to say one thing to everyone, a big thank you for participating, to all the startups who've participated through this. While we will have a few winners later in the afternoon, but I also want to say that none of you is a loser. The sheer fact that your starting point is to really improve the healthcare system, you're already a winner. So once again, thank you everyone for your participation. Over to you, Amrit.
Thank you, Gagan. With that, we move to the first formal announcement at this ceremony today. We will start by announcing the launch of the Center of Excellence in Jaipur, which is under the pillar of protocols and processes of the Innovation Center. I would like to invite Dr. Vinod Paul on the screen here. Can we have Dr. Paul on the screen, please? Dr. Paul, thank you. We're really honored to have your presence. I'd like to request you to give us a go-ahead to formally launch the India-Sweden Oncology Center of Excellence at AIIMS Jaipur.
Thank you, Amrit. I'm very pleased to give a go-ahead for the virtual launch of Oncology Center of Excellence at AIIMS Jaipur. Very pleased to do so. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can we have the launch video played to virtually launch the Oncology Center?
Is already made for the patient. After that, the patient will be referred to the Center of Excellence when they are found fit that they can give a complete detailed information what is required for the particular study. This is the reception counter where the patient will come from the OPD and get registered in the Center of Excellence for further counseling process. From here, the patients will further move to the cabins that are created, and there are different sets of cabins created, including the physical rehabilitation, psychological counseling, nutritional counseling, and palliative care counseling points. So after going through all these cabins, the patient will submit all the documents. There are different domicile forms also for each and every cabin on which the patient, according to the patient's requirement, questions are added, which will be answered and assessed on follow-up, that how the counseling is improving the quality of life of patients.
So they have to be told about their disease, how it progresses, the possible signs and symptoms, the causes of cancer, can cancer be prevented, and frequently asked questions.
Thank you. A holistic way of working with cancer is the aim of this center, to improve adherence and bringing the patient more in care. I'd like to, while we have Dr. Paul virtually on the screen, I'd like to now invite Ms. Jenny Nordberg, National Coordinator of Life Sciences and Head of the Office for Life Science at the Government of Sweden, Cecilia Oskarsson, Trade Commissioner, Dr. Pradeep Bhatia on behalf of Jodhpur, since you're here physically, sir, please join us on stage, and Nicholas Jacobson from the Ministry of Health and Social Affairs to release the project folder for this Center of Excellence program. Please go ahead and, in the presence of Dr. Paul and all the other dignitaries, please release the brochure of the Oncology Center of Excellence here at Jaipur. Thank you. With this, we formally inaugurate this great initiative at AIIMS Jaipur. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'd like to ask Jenny to maybe stay back to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Minister, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a true pleasure to be here today to see the long-standing collaboration and tradition between Sweden and India, really to take a next step in implementation of innovation of new ways of working. It was fantastic to see the inauguration video, really including both patients, professions, industry, academia together in implementation of precision medicine. In the era of precision medicine, oncology is really leading the way, both when it comes to early detection, diagnostics, treatment, and also, most importantly, prevention, all through the sector. So for that, Sweden highly values our collaboration. We thrive from our ecosystem in Sweden with the different innovation hubs that we have and the different types of collaboration with our long-term and sustainable collaboration with India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny. I'd like to now invite Dr. Vinod Paul to address the gathering.
Thank you very much. Excellency Ambassador of Sweden to India, Klaus Molin, Secretary Rajesh Bhushanji, Ms. Jenny, Ms. Cecilia, my colleagues, DG ICMR, Director AIMS Delhi, Director AIMS Jodhpur, dignitaries representing the government of Sweden, partners, colleagues. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of celebration, part of achieving a milestone in the history of Indo-Sweden relationship. Sweden has been a special friend for a very long time. And let me recall here also the fact that at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, where I have spent much of my life, the original cardiac radiology system was established through what we then called as SIDA Cardio initiative with the assistance of Sweden. So you have helped pushing the frontiers of clinical medicine and biomedical sciences in critical areas, especially the high-end areas, and very proud of that. And also, notwithstanding the fact that your initiatives in the space of maternal, newborn, and child health at the grassroots level are also very notable. Thank you very much for being such a reliable, dependable partner in development and in healthcare. I'm very pleased, very honored to be part of the celebration today of having the launch of India-Sweden Innovation Center at AIMS Jodhpur. We are very proud, AIMS Jodhpur, for the strides that you have made. You are a jewel in the crown of India as an institution of excellence. And this particular impetus of resource and mandate and recognition will go a long way in furthering your role in a very, very special area, namely oncology. And here I have two suggestions to make, one or two suggestions to make. I look forward, AIMS Jodhpur and colleagues and partners of this initiative, that we help devise programmatic innovation in cancer care. I value the vision that you have set to undertake holistic care, interdisciplinary care, humane care. Very good start. But then I suggest and request you as a knowledge institution that you please look at programmatic innovation in the following manner. A, when we're looking at cancer detection for the masses, the system works through health and wellness centers, through screening for cancer. It's a national program. And we have done well with screening part of the initiative on cancer prevention and treatment. What we have not done so well is to then connect all the dots that are necessary to go beyond that. So A, you detect cancer systematically, according to a preset schedule for the entire population under your charge, under the charge of a district administration. And then those whom we pick up, they're taken for final diagnosis and treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgical therapy, wherever required, at whatever level that is required, and then come back home for follow-up, palliative care, and support to the family. This loop has not been closed. So I don't think a model of cancer care in India is complete till we close this loop. And let's say we close this loop for cancer cervix, which I think should be the highest priority because it's about women. It's about 50,000 deaths per annum. It's about poor women. This is a disease of poor women. And of course, breast cancer, and of course, oral cancer. So if you focus on these three cancers, AIMS Jodhpur, and you create the entire loop of population level detection, then referral, then diagnosis, treatment covered by Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana Ayushman Bharat as much as possible, and through other means with NGOs and so on, and then close the loop by getting back this woman into the community and support and do follow-up. Again, health and wellness centers serving as the key nodal point of this activity. So I like to see a connect between tertiary institution, but top tertiary institution, AIMS Jodhpur that you are, with the health and wellness center to provide a holistic care in the sense of full vertical connection. And of course, here would be an imperative to have a telehealth as a part, supporting care, detection, follow-up, motivation, holistic care in terms of diet and psychological support. Telehealth would be an integral part of this model. So I urge you that let's work for creating this model. This model is waiting to be created. And since it will be a model to be created, we look at standardizing the intervention, the system and the tools, and then assess and evaluate this. This is the expectation I bring to you from as a friend, colleague, and a mentor. And I hope we can deliver on that. This will make both our Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of Sweden proud of this initiative. Thank you very much. Look forward to working closely with the entire team. Good day. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for both your presence, but also for helping us look at the future vision of how do we make this more robust and more strong. And we look forward to keeping in contact with you to actually take this ahead. From having the right systems and the right environment, which is created by the Center of Excellence, we also need to have the right technology. We need to have the new solutions that could go in. And with that, I'd like to move to the announcement of the winners of the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center Challenge. Could we have the slides? Give you a background. This is the second innovation challenge which we have run under the Innovation Center collaboration with the broad objective of increasing accessibility and affordability of healthcare. This year, we received over 702 applications from around the world for this innovation challenge and the various problem statements that were defined by the partners. We've been able to have a kind of very disciplined and detailed evaluation process where we have screened a number of all the applications, invited a number of them for face-to-face discussions, and today we will announce the winners. I'd like to thank the advisory board who has supported to kind of guide us in this process. Can we have the next slide? We've had a cross-sectoral advisory board from AIMS Delhi, AIMS Jodhpur, ICMR, Astrazeneca, NASCOM, Business Sweden, so a multidisciplinary team. On the next slide, you will see over 10 organizations have been involved in further the interview process, the panel discussions that have taken place. We've really tried to bring a number of experts to give us their best guidance on how we select this. So I thank them for all their time and effort in this process. With that, I'd like to invite Professor Balram Bhargava, Secretary DHR and Director General ICMR on the screen. Dr. Bhargava, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have always been a strong guide to us on innovation. A lot of work at ICMR being done at innovation. And it's very apt that we announce the winners with your go-ahead. I request you to give us a thumbs up to announce the winners while I invite them on stage here. Thank you, Dr. Bhargava. I'd like to invite on stage physically to hand over the certificates while we have Dr. Bhargava on the screen, Cecilia Oscarson and Dr. Arjun Gupta. Please join us on stage, sir. I'd also like to invite from our knowledge partner, Ryan Bate, who's physically present here from the Astrazeneca team. Ryan is Scientific Partnering and Alliance Director at Astrazeneca. Welcome. Can we have the slides also on the screen? The first winner of the Innovation Challenge is Akurai AB. Akurai AB work with non-invasive pulmonary artery pressure monitoring devices. Can I welcome you on stage? The next winner is from Indra Systems Private Limited from India, a point of care, affordable and accessible system for testing of cervical cancer driven by AI. From there, we move to neurology, BrainSight AI, a multi-modal platform akin to Google Maps for the brain, supporting to diagnose brain disorders. Please join us. EasyRx Health Tech, and non-invasive portable screening device that can indicate blood glucose, anemia, and predict kidney, lung, and liver problems instantly. Okay. The next winner is Genetico Research and Diagnostic, a specialized EHR with decision support systems. Our next startup is from Sweden, Neurofy, a handheld device capable of detecting different diseases through an electronic nose technology and more. Mohsen, can I have you on stage? I'd like to invite the next winner, Dr. Pradeep Bhatia, who's working on an idea stage concept intermediate heated humidified nasal oxygen therapy unit. And Tada Medical AB is our next winner, working with breakaway connectors for IV that delivers 90% reduction in IV restart time. We have two more winners, unfortunately could not get here due to the various travel restrictions. But I'd like to recognize Dr. Naveen Dutt, who's working on a solution for AI-based early diagnosis of interstitial lung disease, and also Tech Lumen Solutions for an AI-enabled terahertz system for rapid and accurate cancer marginal detection. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the winners of the second batch of the Innovation Challenge. Can we have a round of applause? Can we have a group photograph? I'd also like to request the Honorable Minister of Health from Seychelles to please join us for a group photo along with Nicholas and Jenny, please. May I also request the ambassador from Seychelles to please join us. Praveenji, please.
Do we remove this?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Minister. I'd like to now invite Professor Balram Bhargav to address the gathering.
Thank you, Amrit. All the dignitaries and illuminaries, it's a pleasure to be part of this celebration of the virtual announcement of the Innovation Challenge of the India-Swedish Partnership. I'd like to, at the outset, congratulate the winners of this challenge. I know it is a tough journey that they have overtaken and have been declared as winners. The important point I'd just like to emphasize that innovation is important healthcare, not only for India and Sweden, but for the entire globe. And the key pillars of affordability, accessibility remain very important. The most important point that I would like to emphasize is that by and large, somehow, Indians are genetically endowed for innovation. And I think their mindset for cost effectiveness, affordability, accessibility is something that needs to be leveraged, and that is being leveraged at this challenge and these incubation centers. The last point that I want to emphasize is that much of the innovations which are happening across the world need to be really importantly need-based innovations. They need to be innovations which are actually solving a need, solving a health problem, solving a public health problem, which is ultimately making life much more simpler, not only for the physician, for the patients, for the caregivers, etc. So we do not need to produce hammers looking for nails, but we need to produce solutions in the form of hammers for nails that are there. So it has to be need-based, and that is critically important because sometimes there is a disconnect between young innovators and young engineers and physicians and getting solving a problem which has to be addressed. So I think this is going to be a huge, big program for not only for India, for Sweden, but for the world at large. And I congratulate all the winners again, and I'm sure this program will be a grand success. All the best.
Thank you, Professor Balram Bhargav. So we have our startups, we have the Center of Excellence, and to kind of create an environment further to bolster the efforts of the startups, we have also created a physical innovation center at AIIMS Jodhpur, which get state-of-the-art access to the infrastructure over there. And of course, a physical presence always helps to actually have a place where you can be and have an innovative environment to work in. I'd like to move on with that to the virtual launch of the India-Sweden Incubation Center at AIIMS Jodhpur. I'd like to invite Mr. Rajesh Bhushan, Secretary Health, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, on the screen. Thank you, sir, for joining us and being able to launch this physical incubation center that we have created under the MOU of Health between the two countries. Can we have Dr. Bhushan on the screen, please? I request Mr. Bhushan to give us a go-ahead to launch the incubation center by playing the launch video.
And it's indeed a pleasure to be here. Please initiate the launch.
Thank you, Dr. Bhushan. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to present the Incubation Center at AIIMS, Jodhpur. I now request Mr. Rajesh Bhushan to please deliver the special address for this program, where we have launched not just the Incubation Center, but the Center of Excellence, and also announce the winners in your presence. Mr. Rajesh Bhushan.
Thank you, ambassadors, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a matter of privilege and pleasure for me to be part of this ceremony and to interact with so many people, so many bright spirits who have contributed to the success that we are celebrating today. India and Sweden have a long-standing and a very close relationship, which is based on our common values, our strong business engagement, investment, research, and development linkages. Healthcare and life sciences have remained a very important area of collaboration between our two countries. As we know that India and Sweden had signed a MOU way back in February 2009. And since then till date, we have collaborated on a wide range of subjects such as COVID-19 management, aging population, care for the elderly, antimicrobial resistance, digital health, so on and so forth. Now, as the situation rapidly evolves in view of the global pandemic, it becomes absolutely essential to identify newer areas where we could work together with the aim of ensuring affordable, accessible, and outcome-based healthcare. The India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center, as we all know, was launched in December 2019. It is the outcome of a tripartite agreement between the Swedish Trade Commissioner's Office, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. The center aims to ensure affordable and accessible healthcare for all in certain key work streams, such as startups, incubation center, skilled training, etc. As I said, in view of the challenges which have been posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and our experience of having tackled this pandemic over the last 2 years, both India and Sweden can now look at new areas of collaboration, and these areas could be medical and allied health professions, digital health platforms, and affordable drugs, diagnostics, and vaccines. So these are the areas where we must work together to promote innovation and to promote startups. India and Sweden must continue working together, and it is in this context that the launch of the Innovation Incubation Center at AIIMS Jodhpur is a milestone which we need to celebrate. This is a 20-seater incubation center which will provide physical space for Indian and Swedish innovators and startups and healthcare experts to converge, to exchange ideas, to develop new ideas, and to develop innovation. I would also take this opportunity to congratulate the winners of the second edition of India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Challenge. I am certain that all these winners will use innovation, particularly the ones which have been celebrated today, awarded today, to provide effective, accessible, and affordable solutions to our populations, both in India as well as in Sweden. I'm also sure that this partnership between India and Sweden will be further strengthened in the coming days and would focus on those emerging and cutting edge areas of delivery of healthcare, which would be beneficial not only for both our countries, but also globally for the world. I once again thank you for having given me this opportunity, and I once again take this opportunity to applaud and commend the outstanding and path-breaking work which has been done under this collaboration. Thank you. Jai Hind. Namaste.
Thank you, Secretary Bhushan, for taking time. We look forward to the continued guidance of the ministry to take this from strength to strength. I'd like to invite Mr. Praveen Mittal, Director FICCI, on stage.
Thank you so much, Amrit. I think it's been a great program, great morning. May I also please request for presence on stage of Mr. Nicholas Jacobson, Deputy DG, Ministry of Health and Social Affairs, Government of Sweden, and also would request our colleague from the Swedish Business Trade Council, Mrs. Cecilia Åkesson, please. So this is just the start because there's a lot more to achieve, and FICCI does an annual program, and we'd like to invite you all with your delegation to India in the month of October. So this is an invitation for that, Mr. Nicholas. And that's to you. Thank you so much. We look forward to a very successful participation in India. And thank you, Dr. Gupta, for coming all the way. Thank you so much once again. With this, I hand it over back to Amrit.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we come to the conclusion of the award ceremony. I'd like to once again thank all the dignitaries who joined us virtually. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Thank you, Secretary Bhushan, Secretary Balram Bhargava, Director AIMS Jodhpur, Dr. Guleria, and Gagan. Thank you all for joining us. We will now move on. Thank you. We will now have an opportunity while we presented the winners and call them on stage to collect their certificate. We try to now use this stage as a showcase for our winners. And to open on this session and to say a few words, I'd like to invite Mr. Ryan Bate from Astrazeneca to talk about how, through our partnership, we are enabling this work.
Hello, everyone. So first, I'm honored to be here with all these genetically blessed, innovative minds. And to be honest, I have to agree. In my experience working with startups from India, my colleagues from India, and also with Sweden, actually two really, really innovative countries. So great to hear all of the previous esteemed speakers speaking the same language as well. And this is a key theme. We have to think about partnerships, and healthcare traditionally, if we're all honest, has been behind other sectors. If we think about car manufacturers, they have become platforms for mobility. You think about toy manufacturers, they've become platforms for play. And healthcare hasn't really evolved into that platform thinking. So what is healthcare? What platform does it need to become? Well, if we think about the patient journey all the way through, we have to think about disease prevention and disease awareness and diagnostics and treatment and wellness and well-being all the way through. This is our platform, but no one entity can solve this on its own. And so the reason why partnering is so critical in healthcare is because we need expertise. You don't solve anything by having the same minds in the same room. You solve things by differentiation. You solve things by critical thinking from different industries. A Catalyst Network represents a platform where government and academia, industry, entrepreneurs, venture capital can all come together and bring their expertise and try to solve these healthcare challenges. And entrepreneurs, I'd like to focus in on a little bit here because other industries, as I've mentioned, have managed to integrate a few decades ago this approach. And healthcare, we're really only just finding this out now. And these minds, and I speak from experience, the A-Catalyst network is launched in just over 21 countries now. And it is so refreshing to see this type of disruption enter healthcare. And with the advent of digital technology, everything is accelerating. So I'd just like to close by congratulating all of the winners, 702 applications. I mean, this is pretty impressive. Everyone should be incredibly proud of themselves for making it this far. And I'd like to hand over to the showcase.
Thank you, Ryan. Hello, everyone. My name is Dolly Berry, and I'm the lead for incubation and mentorship at the India-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center. Indeed, a proud moment for all of us today. And thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone for joining us. So now we'll begin with the showcase for the startups. I will request our first startup, EasyRx, represented by Partha. Partha, you will now present your solution, and over to you. Can we have the first slide up, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Partho. I'm the founder and CEO for EasyRx Health Tech Private Limited. You know, due to the delayed detection of anemia, liver, kidney, and the lungs issues, we are losing a lakhs of lives in every year. I am from a lower middle class family and the part of West Bengal, typically rural part of West Bengal. So I saw people are belief on the curative healthcare approach instead of the preventive healthcare approach. So we built a device called Easycheck, which is a portable battery operated device. It's connected to the mobile app. Just simply putting a finger into the device, it will tell you how much hemoglobin you have and what is the level of bilirubin, creatinine, and the glucose level you have in indicative manner. So in hemoglobin, we have the accuracy of 7 to 10% variation compared to the traditional blood test, and we are working to make it more effective for other parameters. We already got CDSCO approval, ISO 13485 and IEC. Last 6 months, we sold around 350 units of the device across the country in 15 different states. Next slide, please. So we are basically identifying the people in the rural context who have anemia, who have abnormal bilirubin, creatinine, oxygen saturation, and the sugar level. Then we are giving the awareness and telling them to go to the nearest medical facilities, primary health centers, and the general hospital to detect the start the treatment for the same. We are happy to share that in the state of Odisha, there is a district called Kalahandi. It's an aspirational district. 99% population are Sidil tribe. We deployed 34 units of our devices, and regularly we are identifying the people who have chronic kidney problem, who have chronic liver problems, and around 70% of the people are anemic. We are identifying them, we are sharing them the details, and we are giving the details for the nearest primary health center and others. So I'm really privileged to representing EasyRx in the global platform. I look forward to collaboration in terms of the certification, clinical trials, and reaching to the global market. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Partha. Up next, I'd like to call Indra, represented today by Mr. Adarsh Natarajan.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Adarsh. Happy to represent Indra Systems. Our vision has been to actually disaggregate the centralized healthcare system that exists in most of the developed countries. Unfortunately, what we actually need, the developing countries, is a more disaggregated system rather than a centralized healthcare system. And that is manifested in the low healthcare parameters that most of our countries exhibit. And our vision is to become the first gateway to good health outcomes for these populations which are outside of the metros and who do not have easy accessibility in an affordable manner to a better healthcare system. So that's really the vision that we set forth. And what we are doing is to kind of help detect certain critical conditions at the point of care. Right, next slide, please. So as the gentleman earlier said, not one entity can solve all the problems in healthcare. What we've really taken up is the detection of conditions early on, and therefore aid in preventing many of these conditions becoming critical and degrading mortality and morbidity as well. So what we've conceptualized is a point of care system that is both accessible, affordable, round the corner availability kind of a system, because we want to deploy it in smaller single physician clinics. While India has been the context with which we conceptualize this is pretty much applicable for the rest of the world as well, right? And what we've developed is AI-based computational pathology platform that actually enables us to take certain conditions that can be detected previously, that could have been detected previously only in centralized healthcare systems, to the point of care. Yeah, next slide, please. What we've developed is a platform technology that enables us to do this, essentially take the sophisticated testing mechanisms to the healthcare facility, like smaller healthcare facilities, by enabling them to do those kind of testings in-house. And this is a full stack solution that enables us to do that. We have a combination of both hardware as well as software components. The two hardware components actually converting the biological samples into a digital format, which are then picked up by our AI engines to do the initial call out. And we just don't stop with that. These three components are the edge devices, meaning they are present in a physician's clinic. But we also have the telemedicine angle coming in to the last component, which enables skilled pathologists sitting across anywhere in the world to be actually signing off on those reports. So this is essentially the entire platform that works. And we've kind of leveraged this platform for the first condition of cervical cancer. Can we go to the next slide, please? Of course, the platform can handle multiple different sample types, but the first condition that we've really taken up is cervical cancer. Very disturbing statistics. One woman dying every 2 minutes across the globe. Extremely disturbing statistics for a cancer which is fortunately or unfortunately has a very long gestational period. But because of sufficient screening techniques available at very affordable prices across the globe, we see this extremely disturbing statistics. And that is something that what we want to change. And we had Dr. Vinod Paul mentions exactly this about cervical cancer. And I'm very keenly looking forward to work with the AIIMS Jodhpur team to kind of set this right. Next slide, please. This is a little about the customer segments that we're looking at, some of the early partners and customers that we've cracked. Next one, please. That's about it. I mean, mostly this tells how it is kind of relevant for across the globe, and looking forward to working with the Indo-Sweden team as well. Thanks a lot and hope to have more discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Adarsh. Up next, I'd like to invite BrainSight, represented by Ms. Laina Emanuel. Could you change the slides, please? I think a little further up. One more. Thank you. Over to you.
Respected dignitaries and everybody here, a very good afternoon, and I'm really honored to be here. We are BrainSight AI. What we're really solving for is the fact that 1 in 6 people worldwide would be suffering from brain-related disorders over the next couple of years. This includes both your neurological and your psychiatric disorders. So disorders like dementia, disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar, as well as neurosurgical issues. If you could go to the next slide, please. Maybe to the next one, further on. So what we are really building is a computational neuroscience platform called VoxelBox, which essentially allows you to look at some really difficult neuroscience-based concepts for brain. Now, what do I mean by this? So neuroscience over the past few years has developed quite a bit to be able to look at certain kind of networks in your brain, which includes your resting state networks, which includes your normal task-based networks. So what these networks essentially have been implicated in are these psychiatric disorders. So just to give you a sense, there are networks like your default mode network, your salience network, your executive networks. These are the networks which really make you who you are. And as of today, doctors don't really get a sense of these networks because these are really complicated networks to analyze. To give you a sense, it's a 4-dimensional data, a 3D time series data, and each person's brain has around 86 billion neurons talking to each other. That's a city level data for just one person. And what you need to be really doing is taking the city level data, figuring out what are the signals that you need to be looking at, comparing it to different disorders, and finding out that this probably might be an early case of dementia, or these are some of the ways in which the psychosis could develop in the future. And neuroscience has come so far in terms of research. What it now needs to be done is to be brought into the clinical setting. And that is what we are doing through our VoxelBox platform. To go ahead, it has immense potential, as I said, across a bunch of different disorders. What we are today starting off is with brain cancer, where we are essentially able to help the neurosurgeon in deciding the path of resection while keeping in mind the functional loss. So really if after the surgery, would the language network be affected? Would the resting state networks be affected? We are really able to kind of put all of that together for the neurosurgeon to take a better decision. So that's what we are doing today. And as I said, we are very, very excited to be here and looking forward to taking this further and really building this market, which is a huge problem across the world. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Up next, I'd like to invite one of our Swedish startup, which is Aquarius, represented today by Mr. Henry Koste. Henry, over to you. Another couple of slides, perhaps. One more? No. Sorry, I think one back. Sorry. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here and to represent Aquarius. So our mission at Aquarius is to transform heart failure monitoring. Heart failure is a huge problem worldwide, affecting millions and millions of people. And it's uncurable, but with the right monitoring, it can be treated in an efficient manner. So what we have done at Aquarius is to create the Aquarius Heart Sensor, where we measure intracardiac pressure within the heart. Next slide, please. I'll backtrack a bit. So there are 32 million people worldwide currently with heart failure, and 75% of these hospitalizations can be prevented. Next slide, please. Next one, please, as well. So one way of preventing heart failure is, or preventing hospitalization by heart failure is early detection. And what we offer is detection of heart failure 30 days in advance, where a physician can prescribe to their patient adequate medication so that they don't end up in the hospital, reducing cost to the patient and to the health service. So what we have done is to create a non-invasive solution at a low cost, contrary to existing solutions. So the Aquarius Heart Sensor, can you go to the next slide, please? one more. Just running quickly. One more slide, please. Yeah. So the Aquarius heart sensor is a handheld device using 4 different sensor technologies and integrated with machine learning to give us the mean pulmonary artery pressure within the heart. And with this, we can inform physicians on how to proceed with a patient's heart failure. So the advantages of our machine or device is that it's non-invasive and it's low cost. Current procedures include right heart catheterization, which is invasive and not helpful for vulnerable patients, or especially in times of COVID. And another existing solution for remote monitoring is the CardioMEMS device, which also is an implantable solution, which is very expensive and not good for vulnerable patients. So we hope to redefine the heart failure monitoring platform. And so if you go to the next slide, please. This is an example of a device. So it will send to the clinician every day a measurement of the patient's mean pulmonary artery pressure, and they can act on that. Next slide, please. And sorry, this is next slide. Thank you. So there's our competitors. Next slide, please. And again. And okay, so we are currently in preclinical stage. So our initial market strategy is to go to the clinic and introduce it as a device to help triage in hospitals for physicians to understand which patients can be discharged early and which need to stay longer. Following this, we hope to bring our device to a home so it can help people, millions of people worldwide, and send measurements daily. I think that should cover it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry. Could we go ahead, please? Yes, I think we had a lot of material coming in from Agorai, but thank you. Oh, we're not over yet. Henry, I think you get a lot of face space today. Okay, up next, I'd like to invite Mr. Arjun Gupta representing Genetico.
Hi, very good afternoon to everyone. It's certainly a matter of privilege to be here. So I want to thank everybody involved in bringing us here and, being in front of this esteemed audience. My name is Arjun Gupta, and I founded Genetico with the goal of reducing time to diagnosis and enabling new medical discoveries in the field of rare and genetic diseases. Rare diseases are those health conditions that affect a small number of people as compared to other common diseases in the general population. Collectively, they affect over 350 million people across the world. Now, half of these people are still undiagnosed, and those who did receive diagnosis took about 5 to 7 years, that too in countries like US and UK. Now, rare diseases are difficult to diagnose because very little is known about their pathophysiology, but of course they're rare. They are very rare, but in a country like India, it turns out so many of these diseases are not so rare. And we have only one medical geneticist, in a million people. So when I came back to India from US working in the bioinformatics industry, I suddenly thought about artificial intelligence and how can I change, the challenge that we have in our country into an opportunity to make some data-driven AI tools to help in screening, early detection, triaging, very specific use cases that doctors struggle with. I personally come from a state in the northern part of India, Jammu and Kashmir, and people there spend about $500, which is a big amount in India, just to get to a OPD, just to get a consultation with a specialist. And that also takes years before that referral can happen. So suddenly, when I started to going to these doctors, then I realized, I want to build AI tools, but these doctors are seeing so many patients and they don't have the right platform where they can collect this data and, help their own practice. That is where I thought, even before I can go into the fancy world of AI, we need to build some very basic platforms which can help bring efficiency in these clinics and also give them tools that, while they are managing their workflows, they can get some rapid insights that can help their decision making. And that is when, can you go to the next slide, please? And that is when we decided that we'll first build a specialized electronic health record system precisely for genetic clinics. And genetics, they go into many subspecialties. They are neuromuscular, they are metabolic, intellectual disabilities, and so on. So we first built the core of, all of this, which was a pedigree editor on which, you can quickly build pedigrees. And then we started solving some very India-specific problems, like, patients show up with a bunch of reports. Now, what do you do with those reports if you want to maintain data? You scan it or click pictures, and this was so inefficient. We solved it with very simple technology. We had a document scanner in the phone, built a phone app. Now you can directly upload it to the cloud and it doesn't stay on the phone. Small productivity tools like that, have started to make difference. We just did a soft launch a few months ago and got an overwhelming response. And we were a very small team that we couldn't even process so many customers, in one go. So we are going like one customer at a time and so on. For that, we are trying to raise funds to, help escalate this growth. And in the process, a large autism and intellectual disability center actually started working with us. And now we have 2 products and we are trying to scale up those products. And on the AI side of things, now doctors are also, interested. They have shared some use cases. So we have signed up research collaborations with 2 different centers in India and in the process of doing more of that. So we are sharing clinical data, knowledge in a compliant way so that we can build things like, triaging genetic diseases to begin with, and, screening of very specific rare diseases at the primary care level, which has available treatments. And then we also have genetic counselors so that people in remote areas of our country, they don't give birth to another genetic baby. They can have a genetic counseling intervention at the right time so that they don't again go through that whole process. So like this, we are trying to scale up, and through this forum, through this visit, I hope we get some investor interest. We were here thanks to FICCI. I was here earlier this month with Jammu and Kashmir delegation. We have about good investor leads. I hope this time we can get some industry connect because we have like many active product trials going inside of India and even outside of India. And it so turned out that, these tools are like, we are the first in India apparently to build something like this and second in the world. And last thing that I would like to just say, that the progress of being in India, one is that so much clinical data that specifically for rare diseases, you will outpace any competitor. And then the incredible talent pool that we have. So any international competitor comes in, we can always outpace the development with, thankfully less expensive people and our frugal mindset and everything, that involves, which essentially means that we build more at less the cost. So with that, I would like to thank you for the patient hearing and many thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Arjun. Up next is our next Swedish startup represented today by Mr. Mohsen Tavakoli. I invite Neurofy up on stage.
Thank you everybody for this opportunity, and what a thrill it is actually to see the role of AI in almost everybody's. It is fantastic. So yeah, we took our knowledge of artificial intelligence and supervised machine learning and all that it has to offer and coupled it with a challenge of using odor as a diagnostic method. We started by actually studying cancer a couple of years back, but then we quickly realized that that could actually be used and industrialized in another manner. So we started working on animals. Today we have achieved over 98% accuracy in detecting mastitis, ketosis, metritis, salmonella, pregnancy detection in milk. So there are many applications. And as soon as you can find a sort of biomarker in the odor of that sample you're testing or you're smelling at, just like smelling an apple. When you do that, you're essentially smelling in a group of volatile organic compounds. And since you have done that so many times in your life, there's a database in your brain with a neural network in your brain. You can just easily say, well, that was an apple. So we did the same thing. We created an artificial neural network in the cloud, and then we've created the fingerprint of that specific odor for that specific disease in the specific media that we are looking for. We just essentially mimic the nose, the role of the nose. So we have created these prototypes. This one is being used actually next week in India to detect adulteration in milk. Farmers apparently in India use different adulterants in milk, for example, to increase the volume to sell better. And I'm taking this one with me to validate with them, with the company called Amul, for example. And we can simply detect all the adulterants that have been added and used in the milk industry. So we are pretty new when it comes to human diagnostics, because we thought it's much easier to start with the animals. And then when the COVID hit, we actually started realizing that most of the pandemics are being started from animals. So we thought that opportunities actually are great. So we started working on unofficial COVID samples as well, on ourselves mostly. And then we realized that, okay, we can do that actually. And then by being able to achieve 98% in ketosis and the similarities with diabetes, then we thought, yes, this is a very, very good opportunity to actually hop on the boat and join Business Sweden. So yeah, I think I explained everything in pretty much one slide, but let us see what we have on the next slide, please. Yeah, exactly. So these are the application areas that we're thinking of working with together with Business Sweden. Yeah, I mean, the scalability there is no limit, literally. You can, as soon as you find the pattern in the order of the media you're looking for, whether it's an ulcer or the saliva samples, the urine samples, the breath samples. And we are focusing on the non-invasive part of the whole equation. So we're not going to the blood samples and so on. We could be able, hopefully, we will be able to detect all those diseases at home or at hospitals in less than 20 seconds, as long as we have enough samples to create that fingerprint for those diseases in those application areas. And yeah, a little bit about the impact and how many of these devices could be used. We have done a small calculation only for India. It's about a couple of 100 million devices. So yeah, it would be good. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Mohsen. Dr. Pradeep Bhatia is our next presenter, not a startup, but he's representing his own innovative solution. So Dr. Bhatia from AIIMS Jodhpur, very welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. So happy to be here and happy that my innovative idea was liked by the panel of experts. So not yet a startup, but I'm very much confident that this innovative idea is going to change the way we treat patients with respiratory failure. Being a hardcore intensivist myself, I've been working in intensive care for the last 25 to 30 years. I know the requirements, I know the problems associated. So from the user end to the solution end, I'm there. So I'm pretty confident that it's going to change the way. And you know, the corona caused the deaths in almost more than 90% cases just because of respiratory failure. So this is going to change the way that we are going to treat respiratory failure patients. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So oxygen delivery device, you all must have witnessed in wards or in ICU that there is a bottle, there is a flow meter, and the patient gets oxygen by, say, mask or nasal cannula. So these are not adequately humidified, all this oxygen delivery, because the water is at room temperature and the dry gases causes a lot of discomfort to the patient. The dryness of nasal mucosa, dryness of throat. So patient won't tolerate higher flows, but the patient might be needing it, requiring the higher flow. So this is the main problem area. So if the patient doesn't tolerate, many times patients are put on ventilator, who otherwise probably would be able to treat with a higher flow at heated and humidified oxygen. So since there is no such equipment available, many patients probably they are put on ventilator at an early stage. Next, please. So there is a, what I have described was a low flow oxygen delivery device. There is another solution which is called as high flow nasal oxygen. So this become popular in this COVID era. It has a blender, it has a heated humidification system, but then it causes, the flow rate is about 50 to 60 liters per minute. It causes a lot of wastage of oxygen, and we know the importance of oxygen wastage in all over the world, that we had scarcity of oxygen. And why to unnecessarily give very high flow when the patient doesn't need it in any case? So it does provide humidification, but at a very, very high flow, which can cause wastage. So my innovative idea fills the gap between the low flow and a higher flow. It is simply not an intermediate flow. No, it is not like that simple. Intermediate flow means it delivers oxygen at say about 15 to 30 liters of flow to the patients requiring oxygen at an early stage of respiratory failure. So the oxygen is heated and humidified, which is not there in the case of low flow system. And the flows are much less. Patient may not require it because patient normally requires say about 3 times to the minute ventilation of the flow, which is 30 liters should be more than adequate. So as compared to the HFNOs, high flow nasal oxygen systems, it will be much economical. There won't be any wastage, and the patient definitely will like it. And many patients probably will be able to save without putting them on ventilator. And ventilators, they have their own problems of barotraumas and volutraumas and all sort of, and infections. So that is the idea, low cost but effective. It is not only a low cost idea, it is an effective idea. And I'm sure next this going to be the huge market, not only primary health centers and clinics. It will be utilized with open arms. It will be welcomed by all the district hospital, in corporate hospitals, medical college institutes, everywhere, not only in developing countries, but in developed world as well, because the solution is much, much better than any other device available in the market. So not yet a startup, is a basically innovative idea, and I'm looking forward some industry partnership which can develop, design a prototype, then clinical testing can be done at our center at AIIMS Jodhpur, and then soon it can be marketed, because technology is not very difficult. It can, mass production is quite possible at a very short time after doing clinical trials, and all over the world the market is huge. The possibilities are immense. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatia. So now calling upon our last presenter, who's also our third Swedish startup, represented by Katrina Hedbeck from Tada Medical.
Hello, I'm Katrina, CEO and co-founder of Tada Medical. 2021 was an amazing year for us. We managed to get our product CE marked, company ISO certified, we doubled the number of employees, and we managed to get the European Grand Slam. The 3 grants gave us 5.5 million euros to partially share with consortium partners and hospitals. So we have a few clinical trials coming up in Europe, which is amazing. This picture is, well, in the Journal of British Nursing, British Journal of Nursing, that is basically being printed now. There is an article about us, the link in the company, and then we followed up with an ad. So this is a picture of the ad. Our journey, however, started at the clinic, at the Children's Oncology Clinic, and their unmet needs. And all of the children at this clinic will need several infusions. But no matter what the nurse does, there is always a risk for an accident when the tube is ripped from the patient. And it happens everywhere, not only to children, but to elderly patients and around the world. It's the most frequent invasive procedure, infusion therapies, with 16.6 billion tubes used every year. The problem is that this procedure is not safe. 10% get disconnected, and a huge additional failure rate is because of mechanical complication. Dislodgement is something you see. And when the problem is that something breaks, the standard solution is to make it stronger. We did the opposite. We made it weaker. So our breakaway connector, Relink, splits into 2 parts. Double valves keep blood and medicine from spilling, and you can easily clean and reconnect it again to rapidly reinstate therapy. Can I have the next? Yeah, and here you see the breakaway connector, the three main features, basically breakaway connector, self-sealing walls, and that it's reconnectable. Next slide, please. So Relink, our patented platform technology, is divided into several relinks that have unique advantages for each specific area. The first one, Relink Care, is for gravitational IV, and it's more than 10 billion tubes used within this area a year. And these opportunities to help patients and nurses are growing with 6% every year. Relink Closed System would be for the oncology, and this is a market growing with a CAGR of 20% per year. Home care, we heard about that as well. It gets increasingly important. And if the problem is that something doesn't work at the hospital, it's going to be more difficult at home when you don't have the professional caregivers. So I think this could be a good add-on for any home care provider. We have an amazing team in Stockholm. We are 15 people and 8 different nationalities in that team. It's very good to be in Stockholm because it gives the possibility not only with innovation, but find people who are born on other places. We're very grateful for the community in Stockholm and the help we've gotten so far from hospitals and the community in general. And we're very, very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. With that, we come to the close of the showcase of our startups. I would like to invite Amrit back up on stage.
Thank you, Dolly, and thank you all our winners for these elevator pitches. Indeed inspiring, even though we're working with companies every day. I think these refreshing ideas always kind of revitalize you. So thank you. With that, we are coming very close to the end of the India-Sweden Health Innovation Center here at the India Pavilion. But before we close, I would like to, on behalf of the entire team Sweden, thank the government of India. We'd like to thank FICCI, who are driving and running this excellent India Pavilion here at the Dubai World Expo, with special mention to Mr. Mittal and his entire team, led by Prachi, Ishan, Shilpi, and I think there are many names. Forgive me if I miss any. We really appreciate all the effort towards this joint collaboration. Thank you so much. Before we close, I think it's important to mark this celebration together. You are part of this journey with us. So can I invite the entire Swedish delegation and members of that, the startups, all our speakers and the Honorable Minister and the Ambassador on stage for a group photograph before we disperse. Thank you. No, I don't think they're there. And also, while everybody assembles on stage, I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us virtually today. Thank you very much, and we look forward to staying in touch.
Should we group up?
Mohan, Anna, Mohan, please join us. Ravinji, please, the FICCI team. Please, please. Please.
Sorry, but also let's all take off our masks for just this one.
We'll get to know who's who.
Thank you.
So sorry.
We request all the startups and all the participants from Sweden to please join us for lunch. Please stay in the room and we'll lead you to the lunch venue.